Hip mobility is so important when playing pickleball. Your hip is your most mobile joint that you have. And so because it's your most mobile joint, it can be prone to injury most of the time for everybody. So it's a ball and socket joint. So like picture in here, ball and socket can roll, can spin, can twist, all those kinds of things, which is great because your hips allow you to walk, step sideways, step over things, step behind things, get down on the ground, get up off the ground. All those kinds of things come from your hips. And so that's why if you do get injured, it's gonna hurt just to sit. It's gonna hurt to walk. It's gonna hurt to sleep because you're on your hips if you sleep on your side. Like any of those things are just gonna be terrible. So you really want to A, be flexible in your hips, B, be strong in your hips, and C, use your body properly to avoid injury. So let's dive into what your hip can do, go over some exercises, how we can fix your hip and any issues you have, and then do preventative things to make sure that this doesn't happen again or to you in the first place. So let's dive on in. So your hip is very mobile. So you can go forward with your leg, you can go behind with your leg, you can go sideways, you can go around, coming back again, you can step over things and step back over things. Anything of that is all involving your hip. So when you're playing pickleball and you're here and you're going for a ball and you're twisting, look at those hips are moving all the time. You really want to look at how can we save your hips to be strong, to allow this joint to not have any hip flexor pain or piriformis pain around here or sciatic pain shooting down your leg. Like all those stem from your hips and where your hip alignment is. Have your legs straight on both, or one lean on the other side. You know, there's lots of things that go into hips that you want to be cautious of. So because your hip is so mobile, we want to start strengthening it. We want to make sure we're doing the right exercises. I'm going to show you 5 exercises to be doing so that way we can maximize the hip without taking up a whole lot of your time. So let's get started. First thing we want to do before exercising is see what your range of motion is. So can you lift your knee above your hip level and back down? Can you bring your knee up and over and back down? Do you have any popping, pain, anything along those lines? If so, we want to address those situations. You know, as you stand, do you stand with your butt out so this is arched and called an anterior pelvic tilt? Or do you have a posterior pelvic tilt where you're always tucked under this way from sitting so much, your just natural stance is to be here versus being upright? So like you want to look in a mirror, look at yourself sideways. Are you upright? There's gonna be a little slight bend here because you should have an S curve for your spine, but you don't want to be overarched because your hips are going forward. You don't want to be under tucked because your hips are going posterior tilt, which means they're tilting backwards. So you want to look at those things first to see where am I on alignment and range of motion, so that way we can go through the exercises and not have any issues. One thing we can do is our hip swing. So with the hip swing, you want your hand against the wall. You want to be coming out in front of you, swinging through at your range of motion. If you can go all the way up and through, fantastic. If you can only go right here in front because your hips are tight, well then you want to be able to go looser so you can swing it up and up, so you can open and come across with your hip swing. Next is going to be hip flexor stretch. So if you are standing, you can put one foot in front of the other this way, and then you lean into it. So the back leg, so I'll switch feet. So this back leg here, you're idolizing your shoulder coming down to your knee. You want to have an arch. So you're pushing on the hip and opening up right through here in this hip flexor. Anytime you're sitting, your hip flexor gets tight. So the more you can open up and be right here, the better off it's going to be. Coming through in the stretch, and the same on the other side. Leg is back, shoulder arched down through the knee, coming up this way. If you want to do it on the floor, you can always drop to a knee and then just lean forward. And again, you're going to get that hip flexor stretch right here coming through. Just make sure that shoulder's arched, coming down to the knee over here. And then the same thing would be on the other side. So next thing you want to be doing is having your knee up against your chest, pulling up as high as you can. Ideally, your knee would be up at your chest level. So right along the lines of your nipples and out in front. If you can't get that high, you really want to work at getting your leg up to get a better range of motion. Same on the other side. This is a good starting point. This is a better. So see where you can go on bringing your knee up to that area. Another great hip stretch to open up that lower back and tension is your yoga pose, child's pose. So when you sit, make sure you spread your knees apart. You want your butt to go in between your heels. So as you sit, you want to go in between your heels versus being on top, opening up those hips, getting as low as you can, and then leaning forward and stretching it out. And you go with your range of motion. So as you're here, your knees are apart, butt's in between your heels, and then going down low. And you're gonna feel it open up your hips in the front and on the sides, coming through that way, coming up and down. Now that we have your hips loose, better range of motion, proper stretching to keep them mobile and increase that dynamic range of motion, we're gonna go over some exercises to help strengthen up those hips, your glutes, to make you play faster, play stronger, and play longer without any issues. So let's dive in. 5 amazing hip exercises that I want to be showing you guys so we can get those things stronger, making you play a lot better and pain-free. It's going to be starting with a bridge. So the most basic is to lie down, have your feet by your heels, and then lift up, pushing with your heels, squeezing your butt, hold for a 2 count, bring it back down. Lifting up, squeezing your butt, hold for a 2 count, bringing it back down. Coming up and down, coming through, going for about 10 reps, coming up and squeezing and coming back down, only feeling in your butt. The next one is a pistol squat. So you put one foot in front on your heel, the other leg is back. Use a chair, bench, couch, anything that you have that's stable and isn't going to move on you. And you're going to sit down to it, and then you push with this leg that's bent to come back up. You sit down into that hip and you come back up. As you get better, this foot can float and you can sit down to your hip and come back up. As you get better, you can do without any hands, coming down and coming back up. But pistol squats are amazing to be able to work that hip in that singular motion, because we always take a step, one leg. So you want to have both legs to be just as strong coming through. Then we're going to be going side to side lunges. So you're going to be coming here, going over to one side, coming back. Notice I bring my chest down to my thigh and then coming up, down to my thigh and coming up. So like the side view, my butt is going back behind me, coming in, butt is going back behind me, coming in. So we're working the whole outside of those legs, working the hips coming through. Then we're going to be coming through with flutter kicks. So you have a couple options. You can start low and flutter kick this way, just going out to the side. If you get better, you can lean down and flutter kick this way, getting a much bigger range of motion working through. And then of course you can do without, holding on to make it even tougher. I almost fell right there, but the point is you are going to be able to really see how to be able to handle this. And then you're going to be going, the last one is bird dog. So on a mat, you have your knees bent, hands underneath, extend out and squeeze your glute, and then extend your opposite hand and hold, working everything through the core, glute, the whole hip complex, holding on one side, and then switch. So as this leg goes back, I'm not pointing my toe, but I'm flexing my foot, activating the glute here, and then reaching with the opposite arm, keeping my core tight and holding, coming through that way. So 5 amazing exercises for you to be stronger, more mobile, and more active with those hips. Being pain-free is one of the best things you can do. So if you are suffering from any hip pain, back pain, shoulder pain, whatever, knee pain, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you want more videos on. I love helping people. I love helping people get fit. Love helping people feel better, reduce those injuries, let you enjoy the sport that you want to be out there and playing and just have a good time. So please, please, please let me know what I can do to help you guys. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.